U.S. citizens go to the polls tomorrow as pressure mounts between the Kamala and Trump camps. Minister for Lands Nabakoba starts national consultative meetings for the revised national land policy, while Uganda Cycling Academy flags off team to the Women's Cycling International Tour of Burundi. We thank you so much for joining in. Let's just go straight to what we have for you this evening. President Museveni has today met and held discussions with the U.S. Special Envoy for Sudan, Tom Perriello, at State House in Entebbe. The envoy was accompanied by the U.S. Ambassador to Uganda, William W. Pope. President Museveni and his guest discussed matters concerning security and how to end the conflict in Sudan. Perriello thanked President Museveni for his key role in mediating the conflict, where the president emphasized the importance of dialogue and reconciliation within the country. The envoy further appreciated the president's guidance and wisdom as far as the peace process is concerned. The meeting, which was attended by Uganda's permanent representative at the United Nations, Ambassador Adonia Ayebare, also discussed ways of implementing the African Union's Peace and Security Council communique on Sudan. Kasangati Magistrates Court has released Kampala Capital City Authority former Executive Director Dorothy Chisaka and co-accused on a cash bail of 5 million each cash. Magistrate Beatrice Hainza, however, released them on stringent bail terms, among them to deposit their passports.
The former Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority Dorothy Chisaka and her former Deputy David Luyimbazi and Director Health Okero were charged and remanded with 57 charges of manslaughter and causing death by Russian negligence, which offences they all pleaded not guilty to. Monday, the three accused persons have once appeared at Kasangati Magistrates Court before Magistrate Beatrice Hainza for their bail application, with their legal team led by Mark Dusman Kabega. The grounds included the fact that investigations are still ongoing in the case against them and that prosecution has not intimated to court the time when the investigation will be complete, and the accused will abide by the court's orders if at all court grants them bail. Prosecution represented by Lydia Nyomala and Stanley Baine, who did not raise objection to the bail application, however informed court that the accused are likely to interfere with the ongoing inquiries into the case. Magistrate Beatrice Hainza overruled prosecution's prayers, thus releasing the accused on a cash bail of 5 million each.
I'm satisfied with the applicant's antecedents that the applicant has a fixed place of abode within the jurisdiction of this court. The sureties presented are substantial. I further find that the case is in early stages and there is no clear time frame as to when trial will end, considering the number of counts in the charge sheet. I therefore exercise my discretion to grant the applicant bail on the following.
Kaija, however, gave stringent bail terms to the accused persons, among them not leaving the country without court's permission.
$1 million shillings cash. Each of the 5 sureties, that is Hussein Luyimbazi, Dr. Joseph Muvawala, Mori Harriet Chibalama, Dr. Frederick S. Kauma, Rosin Atim Obita, are bond a sum of 100 million, each not cash. 100 million, not cash. The applicant shall deposit her original passport in court. The applicant shall not leave the country without leave of court. With above conditions, if the above conditions are fulfilled, you are released. In respect to
the charges against the former ED Kampala Capital City Authority Dorothy Chisaka, prosecution alleges that between July 2022 and August 10, 2024, the accused operated Kiteezi landfill without necessary permits and licenses, thus causing the death of people. Prosecution also alleges that the accused failed to take immediate action when they were notified of the potential disasters, permitting large volumes of garbage to accumulate, failing to evacuate neighboring residents, thus causing their death. The huge Kiteezi garbage dumping in Kasangati Town Council, Wakiso District, collapsed on 10th August 2024. Court resumed on 26 November 2024. For mention of the case, Deborah Namamonde, Viola Nansubuga, UBC News.
With just less than 24 hours for the Americans to decide the next president and administration, we look at what United States Electoral College, which is one of the most controversial topics in America's current political landscape. The Public Affairs Council in charge of public diplomacy, Ellen Massey, told UBC TV that the Electoral College is the body that elects the President of the United States rather than voting directly for the President. Populations vote for an elector who then casts their ballot in their political favor. Massey noted that each state has the same number of electors as representatives and senators in Congress, which some often argue that this favors states with smaller populations as the first two electors throw off the population ratio.
People around the world are interested in what's happening tomorrow in the United States, US elections, and they're even excited about it. And I think we all are excited about it because elections are the cornerstone of a thriving democracy. It's when people go to the polls and they express their point of view through the vote. Tomorrow, American citizens will be voting for not just who will be the next president of the United States, but also who will be their senators, their congressmen and women, local attorneys general, senators and congresspeople for state elections, and even as far down as their school board members. So it is really a moment when Americans participate in their civic duty, which is the most important thing that any citizen can do in a democracy. And everywhere around the world, really, voting is the cornerstone of a democracy. So I'm excited to talk more about it today, as I know people are very interested in US elections, which I know can be or seem a bit complicated, but at the end of the day, it is people giving from their own power, citizens who have the power to give their power to somebody to represent them, and then those representatives, or the people who are in power today, will give that power up to the next person who's been elected. And that's really what democracy is all about.
Yes. Tomorrow, Tuesday, this week, the United States of America will go to the polls, with majority of the Americans exercising their constitutional right to vote for leaders of their choice. But as the U.S. goes to the polls, UBC's Timothy Sibasi, in an exclusive interview with the Public Affairs Council at the United States in Kampala, look at what is at stake for Africa in the U.S. presidential elections, and why Africa has not featured so much in foreign policy discussions leading up to the U.S. presidential elections. The big question is, will the outcomes of these elections have a significant impact onto the African countries and beyond?
Tonight on this special interactive news segment with me, she's none other than the public relations officer in charge of public affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Kampala. Ellen Massey, nice for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, 1 day to go to the U.S. elections. Americans will be deciding who is their next president. We would like to know from you, what is at stake for Africa in these U.S. presidential elections?
Yeah, you know, I think Americans, by and large, are obviously focused on our own domestic questions and challenges and our own future and prosperity. But I know that Africans and people across the world are very interested in US elections because the United States plays an important role in the world and on the world stage. So we haven't heard much directly from the two candidates for our presidential election specific to Africa. I think what you have seen in the years past in this current administration was a big focus on Africa, starting with the Africa Leaders Summit, and we've had a number of high-level officials, including Vice President Kamala Harris, come to the continent, and a number of others. And I think that there has been a real groundswell of interest and focus and connections, not just with the US government, but with businesses and with universities who've come to two countries and developed relationships, and I can imagine that those are going to continue and grow deeper because the seeds of those relationships were born in the last few years, or even many years longer.
Well, we know for a fact that Africa is not featured so much in foreign policy discussions in the build-up to the US presidential elections. Do you think that the outcomes of these elections will have a significant impact on African countries and beyond?
I think you've seen, let's just say here in Uganda, for the past 60 years, we've developed and continued partnerships, 6 decades of engagement in the health sector to grow economically and to improve the prosperity of Ugandans, to improve education, and to develop relationships through our exchange programs, for example, and invested in people who've come back to Uganda, and you can see the impact of a lot of that long-term, decades-long relationship. And I think you will continue to see that kind of impact over the next year, no matter who wins the election tomorrow.
What are likely to be the policies for the next US administration in regard to immigration, emissions, trade wars, peacemaking in the Horn of Africa and the Great Lakes region? Will you weigh in on that?
Well, you're asking me to look into a crystal ball, I think. And I can't look into the crystal ball and see anything, because tomorrow's elections, which will determine who is going to be not just the President of the United States, but also the senators and the Congress people who are representing the American people, will all impact the foreign policy, both the domestic and the foreign policies that will be enacted over the next 4 years. So it is difficult for me, sitting in my position as a diplomat, to anticipate what those foreign policy changes or continuations might be. It just is something we'll have to wait and see, as we all are, I think, waiting with bated breath to see what will happen after the elections. But I can tell you that we will continue to have ambassadors and diplomats working here in Uganda and across the world, engaging with our foreign counterparts and discussing the most important issues that are affecting all of us. Those things are not going to change. We will continue to have those relationships. We'll continue to work.
We'll have a continuation of that discussion in our 10 o'clock bulletin. The police authority has announced a head count to all eligible police pensioners. At a media briefing at the police headquarters in Naguru, police said those eligible have been invited to present documents for earlier processing.
District police commanders are directed to support the process of pensioners' verification exercises. This is in line with police headcount announcement to all eligible police pensioners.
We would wish to remind them that we have a headcount for them between 1st and 15th November, and it is a must. The rest of the details on what is required, please reach out to the DPCs, they will explain.
Those nearby are directed to present papers to police headquarters, while those in distant places are directed to present their documents to the DPCs in their areas of operations.
find a way of having that information reach the nearest district or division of police. That is, in other words, the DPC of that area where you are as the pensioner or estate administrator.
In Mityana district, Buswa-Bulongo, police cracked down a criminal gang arresting ringleaders, and several assortments used in criminality were recovered. Among the recovered included attires like police uniforms, pangas, cocaine, among others.
This Tumwekwase innocent has since shared with us vital information concerning his involvement in the aggravated robbery. So we thank all our troops, all our persons who were involved in this exercise leading to these people's arrest.
In another development, the Uganda National Examinations Board, UNEB, has urged parents to take part in the briefing of their children in preparation for the primary leaving examinations scheduled on the 6th and 7th this week.
Candidates and parents should note that on the day of the examinations, candidates should arrive at the examination hall by 8:30 in the morning for the morning papers and by 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon for the afternoon papers. Any candidate who arrives 15 minutes after the start of the examination will not be allowed to sit the examination.
Another set of exams for the Uganda Advanced Certificate of Education is the last on the education calendar of the year and will begin on the 8th of November with briefing. UNEB, working with security agencies, have deployed at least 13,000 scouts and 600 security personnel towards the smooth conduct of the examinations. Komagum Rogers and Abdul Nasir Luwama for UBC.
Primary 7 candidates and school managements have expressed readiness for the 2024 primary leaving examination starting Wednesday, the 6th of November. Speaking at the briefing earlier today, they said all is set for the finals and only seek for God's guidance to lead them through.
They are considering the language competences. That's where the spelling will apply. It should not have what? A hole. Not if the hole, it has a hole, then it's better what? You.
I know that we have revised hard. We thank our teachers for the effort they have put in. They have always been helping us with the research work, these numbers that have always been confusing us. We also thank them for hurrying up to complete the syllabus, and by June we were able to complete all of it. We are confident that we are going to tackle this PLE and we'll come out with all in Division 1.
And we finish our primary 7 syllabus in June, and all the tests that we have been given have been helping us to improve in our performance. And since on Wednesday we are soon writing our final exams, we are all confident and ready to fight PLE aggressively.
In revising our books, since our teachers finished the syllabus early enough, and our teachers have been helping us, and we've been seriously revising our books. We've not been wasting time playing, we've been going for research work, and we've been given many tests. And now that we are about to do our PLE, we just know we are going to all pass in Division 1s.
We have been revising very hard since we entered P7, and we have
such preparation, our children are going to excel. We're advantaged in the way that all our children in boarding, and there is nothing like coming late. Even come Wednesday, when they are doing their primary leaving examinations, there will be no late coming. We feed them well, especially at this period of time. We have to encourage them to work harder by giving them a balanced diet.
The Minister for Lands, Judith Nabakova, has commenced countrywide consultative meetings for the revised national land policy with Lira District. The resident city commissioner Lira, Isaac Ojok, represented the Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development at the opening session. The consultative meetings will run for 1 month across the West Nile region.
We are going to discuss the policy issues affecting the people, for example, now of West Nile, of Lira, or rather Lango sub-region, and then actually sub-region.
The Ministry of Lands has started engagements in different regions collecting data to aid in the revision of the national land policy. In Lira, the ministry engaged with different stakeholders including district local leaders, members of the public, cultural leaders and other local leaders from the districts of West Nile region.
In CFRs, that is Central Forest Reserves, and then LFRs, that is Local Forest Reserves. There have been a lot of gaps and they forgot until about 2-3 years, that is when they remembered that these lands need to be demarcated.
You cannot say I reserve a forest and at the same time you're saying the land is idle, go ahead and tax it. You've just observed that most of the forest is on private land.
During the engagement, participants were urged to share personal experience that will shape the policy in relation to the current problems on land use, ownership, and sustainable land management.
How do you enforce a policy? Is a policy enforceable? And is it an instrument that you can use to guide the land administration framework? So those are the areas and components we expect the public to participate in.
Lira RCC Isaac Ojok, who represented the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development at the opening of the engagement, emphasized addressing the complex land-related challenges facing Ugandans and encouraged active participation in the policy review.
Your contributions are crucial in shaping a revised national land policy that will address these land issues.
RDC's LC chairpersons, chief administrative officers, officials from the central and local government, members of the community were all in attendance.
You have done a lot to make sure that everybody should control their land.
Let this document come out clearly, the demarcation, the buffer zone, how many meters is it to white land?
The acting commissioner of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Naomi Kabanda, encouraged the public to participate without fear.
We are going to consult the whole country, and their views are being recorded. So we have classified inclusiveness, where you have different stakeholders, whether they are state actors or non-state actors.
The information collected during the engagement will be integrated into the new land policy.
But we also encourage the public to write and submit memoranda.
Susan Naonga reporting for ABC TV.
Non-tariff barriers have affected business people in the East African community, thus delaying the integration process. That and more, we'll have it after this short break in our business segment. Thank you for watching.
There is only one rule you must follow in order to be a winner. Number one, defeat the undefeatable. You, step forward. I want you to box the air until it falls down. I'm not seeing it falling in. You see it falling in. Winning is hard, but with MTN Momo, it's easy. Simply pay or shop with Momo for a chance to win mobile money every day. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3#.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
We thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. Now, non-tariff barriers have affected business people in the East African community, thus delaying integration processes. This underscores the community partner states to develop a regional dispute resolution mechanism to ensure smooth operations in cross-border trade and movement of the people. This was the gist of the meeting at the Ugandan Parliament between the East African Legislative Assembly and the Southern and Eastern Africa Trade Information.
The need to safeguard and protect natural resources from exploitation in East African region is one of the issues of concern.
We are seeing the overwhelming climate change demands, and we're also realizing that there are a number of issues that are coming in place when it comes to energy transition.
The issue of broadening ESC rather than deepening it, I think there should be more focus on deepening it rather than broadening it, because some members have indicated that they may exit.
This is a market that we need to protect for most of the products that we produce. Coffee is just one of those products, but different partner states have a number of products that they are. Aside coffee, there is cocoa.
Members of the East African Legislative Assembly, who had listened in silence, reacted in affirmative.
We are proposing the setting up of East African Investment Bank, just like the European Investment Bank. And we would like your support with that in terms of research, in terms of on how we can take this thing forward.
I want to challenge you as civil society to make sure that you amplify your voices around this, because ES is a people-driven community, so that there is pressure even from the civil society to move our partner states to amend this treaty as soon as possible.
At the end of the day, a consensus was reached between Siatini and the regional legislators on certain aspects. There was a need to jointly negotiate with the European Union as opposed to EAC partner states doing it individually.
The strength in integration is in coming together and negotiating as a bloc.
The most prominent area of interest was addressing non-tariff barriers.
We cannot deepen our integration, we cannot deepen our trade relations when we are having non-tariff barriers. Secondly, we are calling upon the EAC to begin to negotiate with other parties as a bloc.
All these concerns are coming up as the East African community clocks 25 years since its revival in 1999. Henry Okrut, UBC.
We thank you so much for watching. That is all we had for you this evening. We'll get back at 10 p.m. with another arrangement. Let's leave you with the foreign exchange report. My name is Micheal, Jordan Lukomwa, Elizabeth Nakakuni, and the general team.
Brought to you by download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. Wendy Wanawoli.
Honorable Fred Biamukama, Minister of State for Works and Transport in charge of transport, invites you to the launch of the 4-acre model campaign in the Greater Chibale District's Bunyoro sub-region. The event will take place at Chikwaya Primary School Playground, Kakumiro District on November 15, 2024, starting at 10 a.m. and will be graced by His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni. All residents, civil servants and the leaders from the districts that make up Greater Chibale, Kakumiro, Chibale, Kagadi, Chikube and neighboring areas are encouraged to attend in large numbers. This initiative, led by the President, aims to bring ordinary people into the money economy by showcasing farmers who have succeeded in the 1-acre model, 2-acre model, 3-acre model and 4-acre model. Join local leaders and residents in learning how small land can be used to enhance food security and socio-economic growth. Don't miss this opportunity to witness the transformative impact on local communities.
To be a winner, you must serve.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. This is the Front Bench.
Well, good evening and thank you very much for joining us once again here on your national broadcaster. It is the Front Bench once more and it's a new month and well, what an exciting time to be alive.